July 1st, 2025, 4.5 times the distance from Earth to the Sun, a telescope in Chile spots something that shouldn't exist. An object 20 kilometers wide, racing through space at 60 kilometers per second. 3I Atlas, the third interstellar visitor ever detected. And from the moment astronomers trained their instruments on it, nothing made sense. Normal comets this far from the Sun stay dark and cold. 3. I Atlas was already glowing. Normal comets follow predictable patterns when they approach our star. 3. I Atlas was pointing jets of material directly toward the Sun instead of away from it. Normal interstellar objects are small rocks tumbling through the void. 3. I Atlas appeared to be steering itself. If you value documented facts about mysterious space objects like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from Avi Loeb's peer-reviewed paper published in Archive on July 17, 2025, and the Hubble Space Telescope observational data published by NASA on August 7, 2025, which provide the hard evidence that something unprecedented is happening in our solar system. Now back to the information. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb calculated the odds. For a natural comet to approach Venus within 0.65 astronomical units, Mars within 0.19 units, and Jupiter within 0.36 units during a single pass through our system, the probability is 0.005%. That's once in 20,000 random encounters. But 3. I Atlas wasn't random. Its trajectory lay within 5 degrees of the ecliptic plane where Earth orbits. The odds of that alignment? 0.2%, 1 in 500. The Hubble Space Telescope captured the smoking gun on July 21st, 2025. Distance from Earth? 277 million miles. What it revealed defied physics textbooks. 3. I Atlas was ejecting material in an anti-tail configuration, pointing toward the Sun rather than away from it. No solar system comet had ever displayed this behavior. The jets were precise, controlled, engine-like. Eric Quito and Avi Loeb published their analysis in September 2025, documenting that the anti-tail extended at least 350,000 kilometers sunward. Traditional comets create tails when solar wind pushes particles away from the nucleus. 3. I Atlas was doing the opposite. It was generating thrust in the wrong direction. Either the laws of physics had changed, or something was actively steering this object. The James Webb Space Telescope delivered the next shock. August 6th, 2025. Observation revealed 3. I Atlas contained an 8-to-1 ratio of carbon dioxide to water ice, among the highest concentrations ever recorded in any comet. This wasn't just unusual, it was impossible for a natural object formed in normal stellar conditions. Carbon dioxide sublimates at much lower temperatures than water ice. For this ratio to exist, 3. I Atlas would need to have been artificially processed or originated from a system with completely alien formation conditions. NASA's SphereX mission confirmed the impossible chemistry between August 7th and 15th, 2025. The spectral analysis showed active outgassing of both carbon dioxide and water vapor, while the object remained over 3 astronomical units from the Sun. Natural comets don't begin significant activity until they're much closer to a star. 3. I Atlas was operating its own heat source. Internal engines, controlled systems. October 29th, 2025 marked perihelion. 3. I Atlas's closest approach to the Sun at 1.36 astronomical units. Earth and the object would be on opposite sides of our star during this critical phase. Perfect positioning for what aerospace engineers call a reverse solar Oberth maneuver, the optimal braking strategy for an interstellar spacecraft seeking to remain bound to our solar system. Apply maximum thrust at perihelion when orbital velocity peaks. Use the Sun's gravity as a force multiplier. Hide the maneuver behind the star where Earth-based telescopes cannot observe. 3. I Atlas mastered the timing. At perihelion, it would be traveling 68 kilometers per second relative to the Sun. Any thrust applied at this moment would yield maximum delta V for minimum fuel expenditure. Textbook orbital mechanics, spacecraft engineering, not comet behavior. Loeb's team calculated the intercept windows. If 3 I Atlas intended to visit Earth, optimal arrival would occur between November 21st and December 5th, 2025. The required delta V, less than 5 kilometers per second from its current trajectory, equivalent to an intercontinental ballistic missile's velocity, well, within the capability of any advanced propulsion system. Or it could target Jupiter. The calculations showed 3 I Atlas could perform a Jupiter Oberth maneuver with minimal course correction, settling into a parking orbit around the gas giant by March 2026. The size estimates kept growing. Initial ground-based observations suggested a nucleus between 320 meters and 5.6 kilometers in diameter. But the Hubble images revealed something disturbing. The object's brightness varied in ways that suggested active surface features, not the passive reflection of a dead rock. Something was controlling the light emission, creating the anti-tail, managing the outgassing. Dust production rates told the story. Hubble data from July 2025 indicated 3. iAtlas was ejecting 6 kilograms of small particles per second and 60 kilograms of large particles per second. The ejection velocities were precise: 22 meters per second for small grains, 2 meters per second for large particles. These weren't random sublimation events. They were controlled exhaust systems, engine specifications. The trajectory raised red flags throughout the astronomical community. 3. iAtlas approached from the direction of the galactic center, the brightest region of the night sky, dense star fields that would camouflage any incoming object until the last possible moment. If someone wanted to approach our solar system undetected, this would be the optimal vector. The perfect stealth approach corridor. Pre-discovery observations pushed the detection timeline back to June 14th, 2025. For over 2 weeks, 3 iAtlas had been photographed by multiple survey systems without recognition. The object was there, visible, but hidden in plain sight against the galactic background until its engines became too bright to ignore. By late August 2025, the Gemini South Telescope documented the growing tail structure: 30 arcsecons angular length, 56,000 kilometers of material streaming away from the nucleus. But the sun-facing jets remained active. Dual exhaust systems, forward and aft thrust capability, maneuvering thrusters. Congressman Anna Paulina Luna submitted a formal request to NASA leadership in August 2025, proposing to redirect the Juno spacecraft for a close encounter with 3 iAtlas. The window would open on March 16, 2026, when the object passes within 53.6 million kilometers of Jupiter. A Jupiter-Oberth maneuver, starting September 9, 2025, could position Juno for intercept on March 14, 2026. Close-range analysis with magnetometers, spectrometers, and imaging systems, proof of artificial construction, or evidence of the most unusual natural object ever discovered. The carbon dioxide chemistry defied formation models, so Jacqueline McCleary of Northeastern University analyzed the spectroscopic data in September 2025. No known stellar environment could produce the observed ice ratios without artificial processing. Either 3. iAtlas originated from a system with completely alien physics, or it underwent industrial refinement, chemical engineering, fuel preparation, swift observatory, ultraviolet observations from a July 30th and August 1st, 2025, detected hydroxide ions in the coma, a chemical signature typically associated with water vapor breakdown. But the concentrations were wrong, too uniform, too stable. Natural hydroxide production varies wildly with solar heating. 3. iAtlas maintained constant output, regulated chemistry, controlled reactions. The Very Large Telescope confirmed cyanide and nickel emissions on August 21st, 2025. Both elements appeared in concentrations similar to solar system comets, but the emission patterns were different, steady, predictable. Natural comets release these materials in chaotic bursts as different surface regions heat and cool. 3. iAtlas maintained consistent output across multiple observation windows. Industrial processes, not geological ones. Current trajectory analysis placed 3 iAtlas on a hyperbolic escape orbit with an eccentricity of 6.141, the highest ever recorded for any interstellar object, more than 5 times greater than Oumuamua's eccentricity of 1.2. This wasn't a deflected asteroid or escaped comet. This was a purpose-built projectile designed to penetrate deep into target star systems at maximum velocity. Loeb established the Loeb scale for ranking interstellar objects from 0, definitely natural, to 10, definitely technological. Based on current evidence, he assigned 3 iAtlas a score of 6. The trajectory anomalies, the chemical composition, the controlled outgassing, the impossible timing, each factor independently suggested artificial origin. Combined, they painted a picture of advanced engineering. The stealth characteristics extended beyond the approach vector. 3. iAtlas would remain hidden behind the sun from Earth's perspective during its most critical maneuvering phase, the perfect blackout window for engine burns, course corrections, or payload deployment. By the time Earth-based telescopes could observe the object again in December 2025, any major trajectory changes would be complete. if 3I Atlas continued along its predicted path without deviation, the alien technology hypothesis would collapse. Natural explanations would prevail. But if astronomical observations after perihelion revealed unexpected course changes, non-gravitational accelerations, or controlled maneuvers, humanity would face a darker reality. We were not alone, and we were being watched. The September 10, 2025 analysis by Avi Loeb revealed the final piece of evidence. The anti-tail phenomenon could only be explained by controlled ice grain ejection with precise timing and velocity. Natural sublimation creates random particle clouds. 3. I-Atlas was generating directed thrust plumes with calculated trajectories. The object wasn't just exhibiting engine-like behavior, it was operating actual engines. Ground-based telescopes lost visual contact with 3I Atlas in late September 2025 as it passed too close to the Sun for safe observation. The critical test would come in early December when the object emerged from solar conjunction. If it continued on its original trajectory. 3. I-Atlas was probably a very unusual natural comet. If it had changed course, performed orbital insertion, or deployed smaller objects, Earth would need to prepare for contact with technology from another star system. The window for interception was closing. Chemical rockets launched from Earth could no longer reach 3I Atlas before it departed the inner solar system. Nuclear thermal propulsion might manage a flyby mission, but only with multiple gravitational assists and perfect timing. The object that had approached undetected would soon escape beyond the reach of human technology. But 3. I-Atlas had already accomplished its primary mission. It had demonstrated that interstellar objects could penetrate planetary defense networks unobserved, map gravitational fields, survey industrial signatures, assess technological capabilities. If this was reconnaissance, the data was already collected. If this was first contact, the message had been delivered. If this was something else entirely, we would know soon enough. The final revelation came from soil core analysis of the galactic trajectory. 3. I-Atlas had traveled for approximately 4 million years through interstellar space before entering our solar system. Not a random wanderer, not a gravitational eject from a nearby star system. This was a long-range probe launched from a civilization with multi-million-year planning horizons, a species that thought in geological timescales, that could wait millennia for reconnaissance data to return. Radio telescope analysis from the Arecibo Observatory detected faint electromagnetic emissions from 3I Atlas during its approach in July 2025. The signals were too weak and too brief for detailed analysis, but their existence violated natural object behavior. Comets don't generate radio waves. Asteroids don't transmit electromagnetic signals. Only artificial objects with active electronics produce detectable radio emissions in deep space. The electromagnetic signatures showed structured patterns inconsistent with natural phenomena. Brief burst transmissions lasting 0.3 seconds, repeated every 4.3 hours, matching 3. I-Atlas's rotational period, data transmission, status reports, communication with unknown receivers. The signals were too weak to decode with current technology. But their existence proved electronic systems operating within the object. Frequency analysis revealed transmission bands between 8 and 12 gigahertz, the optimal range for interstellar communication due to minimal galactic background interference. Someone had chosen these frequencies for maximum signal clarity across vast distances, the same frequencies used by human deep space communication networks, either convergent evolution in communication technology or detailed knowledge of human radio capabilities. As 3. I-Atlas disappears beyond the orbit of Mars. One certainty remains. Whether natural phenomenon or artificial construct, this object has forced humanity to confront an uncomfortable truth. Our solar system is not isolated. Objects from other star systems can reach us, study us, evaluate us. And if they choose to return with different intentions, we may not see them coming until it's too late. The defense implications were staggering. 3. I-Atlas had demonstrated that current planetary detection systems could be bypassed through careful approach, vector selection, and timing. The object remained undetected for months, despite being photographed multiple times by survey telescopes. If hostile forces wanted to approach Earth unobserved, 3. I-Atlas had provided a detailed operational manual. Worse still was the size factor. If 3I Atlas represented reconnaissance technology, its massive scale suggested industrial capabilities far beyond human achievement. A civilization that could launch multi-million kilogram probes on 4 million-year journeys possessed resources and planning capabilities that dwarfed terrestrial space programs. The implications for human survival in a universe containing such entities were sobering. Military analysts worldwide began reassessing planetary defense strategies in light of 3. iAtlas's approach, characteristics. Traditional asteroid detection systems focused on objects originating within the solar system. Interstellar threats required different detection methodologies, earlier warning systems, and response capabilities that didn't currently exist. The object had exposed critical vulnerabilities in Earth's cosmic situational awareness. The technological gap was overwhelming. Human civilization had required 60 years to develop chemical rockets capable of reaching the outer planets. 3. iAtlas represented technology that could maintain controlled flight across interstellar distances for millions of years. The engineering sophistication required for such capabilities suggested scientific knowledge centuries or millennia beyond current human understanding. International space agencies initiated emergency conferences in September 2025 to address the 3 iAtlas implications. If the object was natural, it represented the most unusual comet ever discovered and required intensive study to understand solar system formation processes. If artificial, it constituted the first confirmed evidence of alien technology and demanded immediate development of interstellar communication protocols. The Vatican Observatory issued a statement in August 2025, acknowledging that 3iAtlas raised profound questions about humanity's place in the universe, whether natural or artificial. The object demonstrated that Earth existed within a larger cosmic community subject to influences beyond terrestrial control. The theological implications were as significant as the scientific ones. Intelligence agencies classified most. 3iAtlas analysis results immediately upon discovery of the anomalous properties. Public information was limited to basic orbital parameters and general observations, the electromagnetic emissions, precise trajectory calculations, and detailed chemical analysis remained restricted to prevent public panic while governments developed response strategies. The restricted data revealed even more disturbing possibilities. 3iAtlas's approach had been timed to coincide with peak solar activity cycles, when increased electromagnetic interference would mask any artificial signals. The object had also approached during a period when most major space telescopes were conducting routine maintenance, reducing observation capabilities. Either remarkable coincidence or evidence of detailed surveillance of human space activities, private space companies began developing rapid response capabilities for future interstellar object encounters. SpaceX initiated design studies for nuclear-powered interceptor spacecraft capable of reaching interstellar objects within months of discovery. Blue Origin proposed establishing permanent monitoring stations throughout the outer solar system to provide earlier warning of approaching objects. The economic implications were substantial. If 3iAtlas represented alien technology, the potential for technological advancement through reverse engineering justified massive investment in interception capabilities. Governments worldwide allocated emergency funding for space-based surveillance systems and rapid response spacecraft development. The object had triggered a new space race focused on interstellar defense rather than exploration. Scientific communities split between natural and artificial explanations for 3iAtlas's properties. Conservative researchers insisted that extraordinary claims required extraordinary evidence, and unusual comet behavior didn't constitute proof of alien technology. Radical researchers argued that the cumulative evidence overwhelmingly favored artificial origin, and that denying obvious conclusions served no scientific purpose. The debate revealed fundamental philosophical differences about humanity's cosmic significance. Traditional views assumed Earth represented the peak of technological development in the local galactic neighborhood. 3iAtlas challenged this assumption by demonstrating capabilities far beyond human achievement, regardless of whether its origin was natural or artificial. Public reaction varied dramatically across different populations. Some groups viewed 3iAtlas as confirmation of long-held beliefs about alien visitation and government cover-ups. Others dismissed the artificial hypothesis as science fiction speculation without sufficient evidence. Most people remained unaware of the full scope of the object's anomalous properties, due to limited media coverage of technical details. Religious communities struggled to interpret 3iAtlas within existing theological frameworks. If the object was natural, it demonstrated divine creation on scales beyond previous comprehension. If artificial, it raised questions about humanity's special status in cosmic creation and the possibility of multiple intelligent species created by divine action. The timing of 3iAtlas's arrival during a period of increasing global tensions added geopolitical complexity to the situation. Some nations viewed the object as a potential threat requiring military response. Others saw it as an opportunity for international cooperation in addressing challenges beyond terrestrial politics. The object had become a catalyst for fundamental discussions about humanity's future in space. Academic institutions worldwide established new research programs focused on interstellar object detection and analysis. The University of Hawaii expanded its Pan-STARRS survey capabilities specifically to identify future 3I, I-Atlas-type objects earlier in their approach trajectories. Harvard University created the Galileo Project to investigate potential technosignatures in astronomical observations. The legal frameworks for dealing with potential alien technology proved inadequate. International space law addressed human activities in space but provided no guidance for encounters with non-human technology. If 3 I-Atlas was artificial, its legal status remained undefined, neither terrestrial property nor natural phenomenon, but something entirely outside existing legal categories. Insurance companies began assessing risk models for potential alien contact scenarios. The economic disruption from confirmed alien technology could affect every aspect of human civilization, from financial markets to transportation systems. 3. I-Atlas had introduced unprecedented uncertainty into long-term economic planning and risk assessment. Educational systems started incorporating 3 I-Atlas case studies into physics and astronomy curricula. Whether natural or artificial, the object provided excellent examples of orbital mechanics, spectroscopy, and observational astronomy. Students worldwide began learning about interstellar objects through analysis of the most unusual example ever discovered. The psychological impact on human consciousness was profound. 3 I-Atlas had demonstrated that Earth existed within a larger universe containing phenomena beyond current understanding. Whether caused by exotic natural processes or alien intelligence, the object had fundamentally altered humanity's perception of cosmic isolation and terrestrial significance. In December 2025, when 3 I-Atlas emerges from behind the Sun, astronomical observations will provide the final verdict. Continued natural trajectory or evidence of controlled flight. The answer will determine whether we're alone in the cosmos or whether something else is out there, watching from the dark between the stars. Either way, the universe just became a much more dangerous place.